What up, peeps? Tony Baker here, back with another movie review. This time I'm reviewing the film Him. All right. Now, Him is the story of Cameron Cade as a rising quarterback who suffers a potentially career-ending injury after being attacked by an unhinged fan. Just when all seems lost, Cam receives a lifeline when his hero, Isaiah White, offers to train him at an isolated compound. However, as the training accelerates, Isaiah's charisma turns into something darker, sending Cam down a disorienting rabbit hole that may cost him more than he ever bargained for. That is Him. It stars Marlon Wayans, Julia Fox, Tyreek Withers as Cameron. This movie was written and directed by Justin Tipping and produced by Jordan Peele. You know, they used Jordan Peele, as to get the name out there as like, Jordan Peele's next film, but he's just a producer on it. And this story, I knew from the trailers that it was a piece on, how we look at pro sports and athletes and, all that can come with that, On one hand, we look at like it's entertainment, it's an escape, it's it's just sports, it's competitiveness. But on the other side of that is big business, the darker elements of it, the things that it can lead to, the things that it can trigger, all the pitfalls that come with that level of stardom and competition, and we got to keep the engine going, and so I knew going in it was going to be touching on those themes. One thing about this movie, the images are very visceral, very colorful, very gritty, and it's a surreal type of movie. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, man. I'm not the biggest fan of surrealism and surreal stuff where it's just like, this represented this and this may or may not have happened. And I don't like sitting there being confused on what really happened. Did that just happen or was he tripping? I don't like going back and forth in my mind like that. I like to know that happened, this happened. Yeah, you can have a dream sequence, but I need to know, all right, did that really happen or was that in his mind? If I have to constantly question myself like that and question the movie, I'm just it kind of takes me out. What did that represent? And sometimes it can be a little too distracting for me. And so this movie is filled with those types of images and imagery and just all right, what's really going on? Is that real? Did he just imagine that? What's really happening? And so I was invested in Cam's journey and I could see why he got into football because his dad was super passionate about football. And so, they ingrained this in children in the early age. And I think that was one of the messages in the movie. We pound this into the children at the early age, football, basketball, sports, and you could be the greatest of all time. And they always refer to that, the greatest of all time, and the GOAT, and all of these ritualistic things that people do in the name of sports and the imagery of goats' heads, and all of these things are playing in to the images that we see. And it's a lot. It's just man, this is what people put other human beings through for the sake of the team, for the sake of the game. I want to be the best, the best of all time. I'm going to go watch film and especially in a sport like football where you're putting your body at risk at a high level. Even though you got a helmet on, your brain is getting jiggled, scrambled. And all of these injuries that these athletes go through, and then they got to push through and get back out there and put themselves at risk over and over again, season after season. And a lot of people just be like, yeah, man, that's what you signed up for. That's what you get paid millions of dollars for. Hush. But it's still a brutal machine. And I feel like this film is kind of speaking to that and what drives a person? What's at your core? Do you value family above all, or do you fall into the trappings of being hoisted on a pedestal and being praised by so many different people and trying to be the GOAT, where that's the altar that you pray at? And who's behind all of this? The owners, how are they viewing everything? So you're getting all of these elements flooded into these very colorful and visceral visuals. And it's just this movie crazy. And Marlon Wayans in particular, he does great in this movie. Like, it's so many different elements: the charm, but also the darkness, the pain on the underneath, the desperation. Is he cool or is he not? Like, I liked that element of just like, what angle is he coming from? Tyreek Withers as Cam did a good job too of really showcasing that young athlete, hopeful. I want to do this, but at the same time, I value and love my family. So I have an anchor to kind of guide me through this hallway of just like potential darkness and treachery, and like, putting my life and my soul at risk. How much of myself do I want to lose in the pursuit of being the GOAT? And so, without spoiling everything, it was just my biggest gripe was this real? Did that really happen? Especially because it gets wild towards the end. So I'm just like, okay, what was real and what was fake? And I still feel like I'm unsure about that. So I walked away from the movie like, okay, did he really just do all that? Because it was a lot done. So I'm just like, okay. And I don't like that uncertainty. So that's like a main thing. Like, once I got past the surrealism that I'm not a fan of, and I was just like, all right, I understand this and that. There's still a couple things where I'm confused, but overall, I was like, okay, let's see what's going on here. But forget all that. You want to know the smooth jazz review of Him? Well, here it is. Oh yeah, I'm gonna give it 3 saxophones out of 5. Because I get the point of it all. Yeah, I'm still a little confused on what really happened. But I get the point of it all. And so I think that's important when you go into a film. At least I get the point of it all. And the execution is another thing. But, I was like, all right, And it just made me realize, like, that's some creepy shit, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, you'll be all right. Your leg is torn off. We'll get you in some therapy, some physical therapy, man. You'll be back out on that field. I'll just be like, man, well, is it worth it? For some people, it is. Like, the trade-off, the money for, the alternative, I get it. But it makes you really evaluate and really think about that type of stuff and, like, what's really going on out there in pro sports. It's crazy. It's wild. I'm soft. I don't want my ankles to snap. I don't want my shins hurt. Shin splints taking me out. You give me a good shin splint, I'm out the game. I'm retiring. I'm a retire on one shin splint. I'm like, I'm out, y'all. I tried. All right, peeps, that's my review of the movie Him. Let me know what you thought of the movie in the comments section below. Also, let me know, are you into surreal type films? Give me your favorite 3 films that are considered like surrealism, or just like, like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, or stuff like that, where it's just like, and I didn't like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I was like, man, what the hell is going on? But y'all let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and as usual, we out here.